Hello and welcome back to Autumn's Journey. Previously on Autumn's Journey, we met our kind of a jerk guy, Kerr, who claims to be a dragon, and to be honest, through this entire adventure, I'm pretty sure that's very possible. Dubiously, I inspected him from head to toe, taking note of the stone-like juts for ears in his remarkable eyes. He balked under my stare, quickly regained his dignity. Alright, that works. His eyebrows furrowed fiercely. So why would an earth dragon be here? It's not because I wanted to! He blurted it out angrily, then touched his unique ears for comfort. I sighed, then tilted my head from side to side as I absorbed his explanation. Alright, I'll admit that I'm not exactly accepting this as feasible, but I'm not dismissing it either. You can't transform back? If I could, do you think I would remain in this pathetic body? So weak. I instinctively patted my sword hilt to counter that remark, but stopped when I saw him attempt to stand again. It was like watching a toddler take his or her first steps, but instead of cutely coaxing, I was fervently discouraging his efforts. We've already established that you're unfamiliar with your form. Besides, it's too dark to walk around aimlessly. I'll find a walking stick for you, and we can return to Barry if you'd like. It'd feel wrong if I abandoned you in this state. Are you saying I can't handle myself? I'm pointing it out. Realizing we were both escalating our voices, not really with my performance, I looked away in a huff, not wanting to have our encounter turn so rapidly. An altar. I need to find an altar. You Heavenkind worship us, right? Well, yeah. I mean, the Dragonkind were here first, so it's only natural we pay our respects. I admit, I thought dragons were more divine and irreproachable. Kerr was definitely giving me a different impression. I barely knew anything about the Dragonkind, though. They focused on their own affairs. You will take me there. It was a plain statement, not a suggestion nor a plea. Why an altar? They're all Heavenkind made. How would it help you? He parried my question exasperately. It doesn't matter. Do you know where one is? There's one not far from here. There's a cave that leads to it. Relief washed over his face, and for once his scowl vanished. Good. We should go there at this instant. He obstinately tried to stand up again, but I lunged forward and firmly set him back down. He gaped at me in disbelief, but my will was stubborn as his. Morning. We will do this in the morning. Get some sleep and I'll find an ideal walking stick. I don't think you'll master, but... What are these words? That word, without some assistance. Especially not in a day, and it will be difficult if I have to physically support you the whole way there. So, just take it easy tonight. I'll even watch you while you sleep. I read that wrong and now it sounds creepy. After my entreatment, he fell silent and gave me a reluctant nod, closing his eyes wearily. I sighed gratefully, feeling moderately triumphant over that battle of pig-headedness. As Kerr was grumbling, I leaned over and pulled a small blanket out of my bag. The temperature was still pleasant even at night, but it could cool rapidly, especially since it was the end of summer. After returning some items to my bag, I reshaped it so it was a passable pillow again and offered it to Kerr, who seemed puzzled by its purpose. Believe me, you'll need something comfortable or you'll have trouble sleeping. Worse, you'll wake up with a sore back and getting to the altar will be even more troublesome. You already slept on it once. I think you can figure out how to support your head with it again. I laughed sheepishly at my own stab at lightening in the mood, but I could tell it wasn't working for Kerr. Disgruntled, he lay down on his side and experimented with a few positions before resting his head in satisfaction. At first, he refused to use the blanket, but as the temperature dropped, he discreetly pulled it toward him when he thought I wouldn't notice. Probably to hide his expression, he rolled over so his back was to me and the campfire. Adjusting the mic, hang on. Okay. I had the feeling the initial shock took a lot out of him, and I admittedly hadn't helped when he ruffled my feathers. More than once. Now that he was sleeping, though, any irritation I still felt dispersed along with the summer heat. I would need to be mentally and physically prepared for tomorrow. Stay cool and collected as autumn. I poked the fire and stayed on my watch until exhaustion beguiled me into resting my eyes for just a few minutes. Oh, I'm gonna like these little CGs, aren't I? Hey. Oh, please. I've had less sleep than you, and I'm already energized and ready to go. Pounding, I poked Kerr some more with the walking stick I had fashioned for him. It hadn't been easy to find a sturdy stick in a birch forest, but I had located a long one that would suffice. I'd spent the morning carving off any bark and had even indented the top to make it easier to grip. Now it was my dragon prod. Oh crap! Up! Arise, sacred dragon! Cut that out! I think he's pissed. Kerr hastily shot up, throwing off my blanket in a feeble attempt to hide the fact that he had used it. I decided to counter his usual scowl with the perkiest and most cheerful grin I could muster. Good morning! My buoyancy was genuine. For some reason, it satisfied me to know that my I know this word. Vivaciousness irks him. I could use my sunny disposition to my advantage. It'd be better than snapping at him at any rate. Stop poking me with that. It's your walking stick. Here. You're welcome. I turned it sideways and offered it to him. He warily gazed at it, as if I was presenting a cobra instead, but carefully grasped it. Cautiously, he pressed the stick against the ground as he stood up. I remained close, lest he topple over like yesterday. His fingers drummed against the carved handle, and he looked at me quizzically. You spent time on this? Well, I wanted to finish it off with a pretty flowing ribbon, but I had the feeling you wouldn't like it. Grumbling, Kerr took a step forward, leaning on the stick before hesitantly taking another. With each step, he regained some confidence, and soon he was walking in a straight line, albeit with an uneven gait. I don't know. He could not exactly break into a run, or even a brisk stride, but it was a huge improvement from last night. I estimated we could reach the cave leading to the altar by mid-afternoon. I quickly packed and followed him, since I had the feeling the only thing on his mind was that altar. It's this way. I pointed toward the gentle incline, and Kerr narrowed his eyes resentfully. Going down a hill would probably be difficult for him. As we headed towards our destination, I kept my distance at first, but I gradually drew toward Kerr, one hand extended in anticipation of a stumble. Kerr balked and increased the distance between us, determined to progress on his own. However, his pace was excruciatingly slow, and he was unwilling to start any small talk. As the slope gradually steepened, his footing became more unsteady, and I worryingly grabbed his arm for support. He twirled around in surprise, and I actually did end up bracing him. Once he was stable again, I sighed. Look, I know you don't like me touching you, but if your priority is to get to that altar as soon as possible, I think you can swallow your dignity and accept my help. Besides, no one else is around to see. You've done enough. I don't need any more help from you. He shifted his weight and started using the stick to ward me away. I frowned disapprovingly. Hey, if you try to hit me with that thing, I'll confiscate it. Even I wouldn't do something like that. Gritting his teeth, he leaned heavily against one of the birch trees. When I get back, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Who? My master. His curt answer stalled the torrent of questions piling up in my head. It would be poor of me to integrate him when he was still obviously overwhelmed by the situation. Right now, the goal was more important. Then let's get you to that cave. You believe me? Everything I told you? Maybe you're just a very convincing actor, but I think even an actor would drop this charade after a while. Oh my gosh, that's worse than my stomach. Just as I was about to reach for him again, a slow grumble pierced the forest. I glanced at Kerr in amused bafflement. He averted his eyes, but I could tell he was embarrassed. You know, if you're hungry... Another complaint from his stomach. I think you'll be able to walk faster if you have something to eat. What do dragons eat anyway? That needs no voiceover. I rolled my eyes. Well, you have a heaven-kind stomach now, and I doubt I'll agree with a diet like that. But it does make sense that you wouldn't want to try the breaded cheese. I doubt dragons thresh rye or run dairy farms. It was then that I remembered the apple tart. Even if Kerr found the pastry part detestable, the fruit would probably be familiar to him. I urged him to sit down. When he refused, I simply made himself comfortable on the ground first. Here, this is the closest thing I have to something found in nature. I could forage, but that would take even longer. What is that? It's a pastry. My dad owns a bakery. You probably wouldn't understand that. It's basically a treat with apple filling, and I think some apricot jam. Thankfully, my dad preferred showing off the natural ingredients. As a result, the top of the tart had thin slices of appetizing fruit covered with a lustrous yellow glaze. Oh, I thought he had a paw for a second. Kerr sniffed it wearily. It must have been agreeable enough, since he soon accepted the pastry. You're welcome. As soon as he started nibbling on it, he must have realized how famished he really was, because he quickly devoured the entire tart. I watched as he coughed slightly and wiped the crumbs off his mouth, but his expression was unreadable. So, how was it? Anything tastes fine when you're starving. Or you just inhaled it so fast you didn't actually taste it. Well, it should tide you over until you reach the altar. Kerr grabbed his stick, and we resumed our trip. The extra sugar boost seemed to lift both the pace and his mood, although he stayed taciturn. I don't know these words, damn it. As we continued through the forest, I stopped and groaned when I spotted some dark trees. Those are Yfelban trees. Completely forgot. We should probably go around them. Yfelban? He peered at the thick gnarled trunks. What, scared of the bark? It'll be quicker if we continue in a straight line. No, it's not about the trees, it's what lies in them. They make perfect nests for avatar roles. Those giant bird things? I thought you would know them? I would if I understood your names. Why are you giving new names to everything anyway? We dragons were here first, and we've already established... I raised my hand to silence him, not wanting to make any unnecessary noise. He scowled, but a shrill cry startled both of us. Then what do you call that? Usually food. Well, that'll be us now. Whoa. That is surprisingly dramatic music. Perched on one of the lower branches was a reptilian bird with scales running down its front. The rest of its body was covered in earth-toned feathers. Though probably no taller than 4 feet, its extremely wide and wingspan and sharp talons made it a fearsome animal to encounter in the wild. Avataros raise young way into the fall, so the mothers would be extraterritorial this time of year. The bird ruffled its plume, making it seem larger than it was, and prepared to launch itself at us. I immediately stepped in front of Kerr, gripping my sword as I took a defensive stance. And that's it for part 2 of Autumn's journey. Well, we've established that Kerr is a Tsundere, right? Well, might be the Tsundere route. We still haven't met the other dragon, and we get a bit more of Auralee's character. So yeah, that ends Autumn's journey, part 2. See you guys in the next one.